a really concerning time in our country. Federal workers really are at the center of it, and it's important for federal workers to participate in the resistance to this stuff.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
The Federal Unionists Network has emerged as kind of the cross-agency, cross-union leader of the federal worker resistance to the Trump administration's actions. I am honored to know so many of the people who are involved in this very, very successful rank and file led project. It's a very exciting thing. They had a webinar last week that you can find. Roland Martin live streamed it. And so you can find it there on YouTube. Federal Workers Let Us Work Mass Call. If you search that in YouTube, you can find the whole thing. Had a lot of really cool speakers. Had Sean Fain of the UAW, now because of the NIH Fellows, a federal employee union leader. Also had Liz Schuler, president of the AFL-CIO. Reverend Everett Kelly, president of AFGE. Had Matt Biggs, president of IFPTE. Had Greg Kassar from Texas, Chris Murphy from Connecticut, and most importantly, and these are the clips that I pulled, and this is who we're gonna react to, rank and file federal workers talking about the work that they do and how DOGE wants to undermine it. It was a great thing, 2 hours. Really recommend finding it and watching the whole thing. But I did want to react to just a couple of them. And, we've been speaking about Social Security. Here's a clip of Rich Couture, president of AFGE's Social Security Council, talking about his work with the agency and and why it's so important to stand up against Elon Musk and his attacks on Social Security.
Grassroots activism rise up in response to the unprecedented attacks against the federal civil service.
Oh, hold on.
By this administration and by the class.
I accidentally, I was listening to it on 2x speed while I was prepping for this. Can you go on in the settings and go to playback speed and make it 1 times? Sorry, I forgot. I meant to change that setting. So hopefully we're doing that now, and we'll be able to start the clip back over at about 25:18.
Grassroots activism rise up in response to the unprecedented attacks against the federal civil service by this administration and by the billionaire class. It's that outpouring of energy that fills me with hope that we will not only just survive the challenges that lie ahead, but that we will thrive as a result with a stronger labor movement and greater respect for the working class. I'm proud, as you mentioned, I represent 42,000 bargaining unit employees at SSA. From the field office workers who help you with your Social Security cards and with retirement and disability claims, to the 800 number workers helping to get your business done over the phone, to the hearings and appeals employees supporting SSA.
I want to pause it right there for a second. He mentioned the 1-800 workers who, help you over the phone. One of the proposals that these people are making, Elon Musk, let's see if I can find the reporting on it. No phone calls. There was, okay, so maybe that's not the case. I had read a report that the Trump administration was going to be trying to slash phone services as part of cost-cutting efforts by DOGE. The Washington Post reported on a proposal last week that would end telephone service for claims processing and direct deposit bank account transactions. The Post reports that older and disabled adults would instead be required to conduct their business online or at an in-person field office. The Social Security Administration also plans to close some of the agency's field offices in a cost-cutting push, which would mean longer trips for beneficiaries whose closest office is being closed. But the SSA told Barron's it had nothing to announce at this time regarding the report. Later on Wednesday, the agency issued a statement calling media reports inaccurate. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they keep the phone service because, especially when you're talking about Social Security, we're talking about elderly people, the capacity to, be able to navigate stuff online is a little bit can be a little bit more difficult than navigating it in person or over the phone. Right. And so maybe that report is inaccurate. We'll see. We'll continue to follow that. But let's continue.
Payments to the IT specialists that keep our systems running, and so many more positions, so many more offices. SSA workers truly keep this most vital program working for America. And like so many other agencies and programs across the federal government, Social Security is under attack. Social Security is a promise that this nation made to itself 90 years ago this year, that no American should have to suffer in poverty when they retire after a lifetime of work or because they're no longer able to work because of a disability. Social Security also takes care of dependents as well. But after 90 years, that promise is at risk of being broken. The integrity and even the legitimacy of the Social Security system is under siege. DOGE is rifling through agency systems, accessing the most sensitive information belonging to virtually every American, allegedly looking for fraud that somehow regular audits haven't found. DOGE has listed about 50 Social Security offices all over the country as having their leases terminated, which means the public's access to services and benefits in their communities is at risk if those offices close. As with other federal agencies, Social Security workers feel tremendous anxiety, frustration, anger, and confusion over whether they're going to have a job in the near future, with the ever-present risk of layoffs hanging over our heads. Many wonder if they should retire or quit. And just today, for absolutely no business reason at all, the agency announced that they were returning all of the majority of our bargaining unit back to the offices full time, despite knowing the historic attrition that action will cause, very well leading potentially to the closure of yet more field offices. The overall situation has depressed morale and is weighing down productivity, hurting public service. Social Security is already in the midst of a customer service crisis caused by more than 15 years of chronic underfunding and a 50-year staffing low. Today, Social Security serves 12 million more people than it did in 2010, with 10,000 fewer workers. We literally cannot afford to lose anyone. With every IT specialist we lose, it puts our ancient and fragile mainframe system containing all of your information at risk, not just of outages, but even total failure. With every frontline worker lost, wait times, processing times, and service delays grow, putting the services Americans paid for with their FICA contributions at risk of collapse. All of these conditions are feeding a perfect storm that will undermine public confidence in Social Security's promise to deliver a guaranteed monthly benefit and access to those benefits. Adding insult to injury, Elon Musk and others have continued to spread and repeat lies about Social Security being a Ponzi scheme, riddled with extreme fraud that only they can find. This misinformation is intended to weaken the public's faith in our programs and open the door to destroying the Social Security system as we know it. And if anyone has seen the markets this week, then you know why protecting Social Security is so important to the income security of millions of Americans. We simply can't gamble the promise on the stock market, and we can't gamble our ability to serve the public with arbitrary layoffs and other draconian measures that will deplete an already understaffed and demoralized agency. Social Security workers deserve better, as do all of you on this call deserve better. That's why I'm excited and I'm proud to stand alongside all of you as we fight to defend Social Security, our other programs, and fight to defend the entire civil service. Thank you.
So that's really important stuff there. And I want to foot stomp on the lies that they are telling about Social Security, saying 350-year-old people are getting Social Security payments and stuff like that. They know it's a lie, and it's meant to undermine confidence in Social Security so that when they go to cut it, when they go to take away your benefits, when they go to fire more people, the thought that will be in your head is, oh, Social Security, that thing that's wasting billions, trillions of dollars on sending money to 350-year-olds, yeah, that's not a problem. That's why they're doing this. They know it's a lie, and you need to know it's a lie so that you don't think that when they try to take your benefits from you. There was another worker that was on the call. Patrick Sear is an IT employee at the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and what he said was really important, and the work that he does, and so I wanted to highlight that too. Let's listen to Patrick.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Kid services. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, so I took a job in government because I fundamentally believe in public service, in providing critical services that people need and deserve as effectively and efficiently as possible. I work on the things DOGE pretends to care about. Modernizing critical IT systems so that they don't crash when you need them. Fighting real fraud, not this invented stuff, so that your tax dollars go to medical care, not scammers. Improving our cybersecurity so that your medical information doesn't get hacked. CMS provides funding for hospitals, nurses, doctors, so that they can focus on providing care. Medicare and Medicaid are the bedrock of the American healthcare system. And not just for medical care, but for jobs across the entire country. DOGE doesn't care about any of that. They don't want to improve Medicare. They don't want Medicare to exist. They want to gut Medicare, scrap it for parts, sell it to their rich friends, and then they want to turn around and charge you more for worse healthcare. At CMS, we were understaffed before any of this started. And now we're losing staff with decades of expertise that we can't replace. And at the same time, we're losing probationary employees, people new to federal service, the next generation of civil servants. And that's going to take years to replace. Meanwhile, for those of us that are still here, it's chaos. How are we supposed to plan programs for years out in the future when we don't know if we're going to have jobs tomorrow? Medicare is not Twitter. You can't just turn it off and on again and expect that everything will be fine. What happens when a SpaceX intern writes buggy code and your health information gets hacked? What happens when Elon decides that your surgery, that's waste? What happens when your local hospital closes because DOGE stopped payments to them? We need to fight back now while we still have these programs.
There you go. So that was really, really good from Patrick, I thought. And so, wanted to relay those to y'all because those are some really good, testimonies about the work that federal employees are doing and, putting faces to some of these cuts that they are, that they're trying to push through. As we're wrapping up talking about federal workers, there's a continuing resolution, they're calling it, continuing resolution to fund the government yesterday, and it passed. It ended up passing thanks to 10 Democrats. And the reason that I say they're calling it a continuing resolution is because it included cuts to non-defense spending as well as an increase to defense spending. And so it was not a clean CR. It was a dirty CR. They did not negotiate with Democrats at all. This was a partisan continuing resolution. And but the principle of the thing was that why should Democrats go along and put their stamp of approval on the idea of what's been going on now with Elon Musk, I would argue, illegally cutting jobs, cutting funding for federal agencies? How can Congress, why should Democrats accede to funding without assurances that that money will be spent in the way that Congress allocates it, right? And so it's just so frustrating. And a lot of the Democrats who voted in favor of this say that they are doing this because of federal employees. That they are that we don't want to we don't want to cause layoffs or whatever. And that is difficult to square with the reality that actually the federal employee unions, the largest one, AFGE, as well as one of the other large ones, IFPTE, both called on congressional Democrats not to support this continuing resolution because that would basically put their stamp of approval on what Elon Musk and DOGE is doing. And so what we have seen is literally last night, only hours after the continuing resolution was passed, Trump issued an executive order to eliminate, quote, to the maximum extent possible with applicable law, the following agencies. The Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service. That's a really important one for unions. The United States Agency for Global Media, the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars and the Smithsonian Institution, the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness, the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund, and the Minority Business Development Agency. And so it's not about even, do you think those things should exist? Should they not exist? Should they have a higher budget or a lower budget? Congress just passed funding to these agencies, and literally hours after that, Trump is issuing an executive order to try to eliminate these agencies. And Democrats allowed it. But not because of the workers, because the workers' unions said that you should oppose these funding resolutions because this continuing resolution, because it's not a real clean CR and it would put your stamp of approval on what's going on. And that's exactly what we saw literally hours after. So, a really concerning time in our country, but federal workers really are at the center of it, and it's important for federal workers to participate in the resistance to this stuff. There was the call was all to basically plug people in, particularly federal employees, into the federal unionist network and the actions that they have going on across the country, and to give federal workers resources to be able to have their own actions. And so the website is savepublicservices.com. savepublicservices.com. And you can fill out the form to be a part of the Rapid Response Network. And what the Federal Unionist Network is trying to do, their kind of theory is that they want a huge network of people to be ready at the drop of a dime. Anytime there's a federal agency that says 30 people are being laid off at the Social Security Agency, 10 people are being laid off at your local VA, 20 people are being laid off at the commissary, whatever it is, they want federal workers in particular, but allies as well, to get plugged into this network so that you can be a part of calling a rapid response press conference immediately after stuff like that happens, so that you can be notified when somebody else calls a press conference and the community can mobilize immediately. So savepublicservices.com. savepublicservices.com. And in addition to that, if you're a federal employee, the Federal Unionist Network will be able to connect you to your union. Or if you're not unionized, they will be able to connect you to a group of people who are dedicated to organizing new unions. SavePublicServices.com.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free
to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.